The whipping boy I was the Sterling family's whipping boy, the live-in husband everyone in New York City knew as a waste of space. My wife's golden boy had returned from Wall Street, and to pave the way for him, she didn't just force me to work as my rival chauffeur. She conspired with outsiders to frame me as a corporate spy, slapping me right out the front door. "Caleb," she pointed at the gate, her eyes cold and absolute. "It's one thing to be incompetent, but why do you have to be morally bankrupt too? I must have been blind to tolerate you for 3 years." She wasn't wrong. She was blind. She only saw me wearing a delivery uniform. She didn't see the brain inside that held the candlestick charts for the next 20 years of global finance. The rain in New York was torrential, falling hard enough to drown the city. I parked my battered electric scooter at the base of the Sterling Capitol Tower. My raincoat was useless against this deluge. My cheap t-shirt clung to my skin, bone-chillingly cold. But the thermos in my arms was still hot. It held red date and black chicken soup. Serena Sterling had been having stomach issues for 2 days, and I'd spent 3 hours simmering it. Old Man Joe, the security guard, knew me, but he couldn't be bothered to open the turnstile. He just waved from his booth, signaling me to use the side door, the one for trash disposal. "Thanks, Joe." I lowered my head out of habit, even though he couldn't hear me. "I am Caleb Vance. I am the Sterling family's live-in husband, Serena Sterling's husband in name only, and the most insignificant speck of dust in this financial skyscraper." No one knew that my mind contained the next 2 decades of global market data. The elevator stopped at the top floor. The conference room doors were slightly ajar, smoke drifting out along with the scent of burning capital, billions of dollars of it. Serena sat at the head of the table. Today she wore an impeccably tailored white suit, her black hair pinned up to reveal a slender neck, looking like a proud swan. Opposite her sat a balding middle-aged man, spitting saliva as he pointed at a graph on the projection screen. "Ms. Sterling, Voltacharge is the only unicorn in the O2O sector right now. As soon as Sterling Capital injects this $3 billion, we immediately launch our NASDAQ IPO plan. This is free money." Serena was clearly moved. Her pen hovered over the contract, her eyes gleaming with a desperate desire for a turnaround. I stood at the door, and a line of blood-red data flashed through my mind. Date: tomorrow. Voltacharge funding chain ruptures. Actual controller absconds with funds. Financial fraud exposed. Investors lose everything. That date was tomorrow. I pushed the door open. "Serena, drink some soup first." My voice brought a dead silence to the conference room. All the executives turned, looking at me, a dripping, wet delivery guy, like I was a lunatic. Serena's brow furrowed instantly, a trace of disgust flashing in her eyes. "We'll let you in. I'm in a board meeting." I walked over, placed the thermos on the table, glanced at the thick contract, and said in a voice only she could hear, "Drink the soup while it's hot. And don't sign this contract." Serena paused, then sneered. "What did you say?" "Voltacharge daily active user data is faked. Their charging station coverage is fabricated, and their cash flow has been negative for a long time. If you put this money in, Sterling Capital is finished." I tried to keep my voice calm. Smack! Serena stood up abruptly, waving her hand and sweeping the thermos onto the floor. Boiling chicken soup splashed onto my canvas shoes, scalding my feet, but I didn't flinch. The porcelain shattered across the floor, looking exactly like my dignity over the past 3 years. "Caleb, are you done acting crazy?" Serena pointed at the door, her fingers trembling with rage. "This is a billion-dollar negotiation, not the grocery market where you buy scallions and garlic. You're a driver without a college degree. What do you know about due diligence? What do you know about cash flow?" The balding man laughed sarcastically. "Ms. Sterling, is this the gentleman of the house? Seems the Sterling family discipline is quite loose." The room erupted in laughter. The executives looked at me like a stray dog that had wandered into a wolf pack. I crouched down and silently picked up the shards. The soup mixed with the rainwater, muddy and dirty. "I'm just warning you." My head was down, my voice hoarse. "Get out. Stop embarrassing me." Serena's voice was piercing. I clenched the shards in my palm. The sharp porcelain cut my skin, but I didn't feel the pain. I turned, leaving a trail of wet footprints, and walked out of that glamorous world. The elevator went down. I pulled out my phone with its cracked screen. The fingerprint unlock was insensitive. I pressed it many times before sending a text to an unsaved number. Short Voltacharge, full position. I want to see it hit the limit down by tomorrow morning. The omen of betrayal. Serena rubbed her temples, annoyed. That look Caleb just gave her, that looked like a deep, stagnant pool, made her heart panic for a second. But soon, That emotion was buried by massive commercial ambition. Ms. Sterling, don't mind that loser. The bald man handed over the pen. Just sign, and Sterling's stock price will double next month. Who on the board will dare question you then? Serena took a deep breath, looking at the tempting return rate on the contract. Yes, the Sterling family was running out of liquidity and desperately needed this project to survive. She couldn't hesitate. She signed her name with a flourish. Happy cooperation. 10 p.m., Sterling Villa. When Caleb pushed the door open, he was greeted by the shrill voice of his mother-in-law, Joan Sterling. Oh, the busy man returns? Did it take all night to deliver soup? People might think you were out closing a multi-million-dollar deal. Joan, wearing silk pajamas, sat on the sofa cracking sunflower seeds, spitting the shells all over the floor. Mom, the rain was too heavy, the bike broke down. Caleb changed his shoes and practically picked up the broom to sweep. If it's broken, fix it. If you have no money to fix it, walk. Who are you showing that long face to? If your grandfather hadn't been blind and forced Serena to marry a waste like you, would our family have this bad luck? Joan got angrier as she spoke, throwing a throw pillow at Caleb's back. Caleb didn't dodge. He just bent lower. Daddy, a soft voice came from the stairs. Lily, wearing pink bunny pajamas, ran down barefoot. The 5-year-old girl had beautiful eyes like Serena, but they were filled with nothing but Caleb. Lily, why aren't you asleep yet? Caleb's originally cold face softened instantly. He ignored the rain on his body, crouching down to hug his daughter, then hesitated, afraid to get her wet, rubbing his hands awkwardly. I was waiting for Daddy. From behind her back, like a magic trick, Lily pulled out a chicken leg. It was left over from dinner, wrapped in several chickens, still warm. Daddy hasn't eaten, right? Eat it quick. Grandma wouldn't let me save it. I hid it. Caleb's nose stung. In this house filled with the stench of money and judgment, this greasy chicken leg was his only salvation. Daddy's not hungry, Lily, eat it. No, Daddy is Superman. Superman needs to eat meat to fight monsters. Lily stubbornly stuffed the chicken leg into Caleb's mouth. Joan rolled her eyes. All right, stop with the soap opera. Lily, go upstairs and sleep. If you learn from a useless father like him, you'll only be delivering takeout in the future. Caleb coaxed his daughter upstairs, then returned to the kitchen to wash the mountain of dishes. The water from the faucet rushed, masking the voices in the living room. But his hearing was sharp. He heard it anyway. Serena was back. She seemed exhausted, collapsed on the sofa, on the phone with her best friend. Yeah, I signed. We should be able to turn things around this time. What? Gavin Chase. You mean he's coming back to the States next week? Serena's voice suddenly became flustered, carrying a trace of suppressed trembling and anticipation. I don't know. I really don't know how to face him. If it weren't for Caleb back then, maybe I would have gone to Europe with Gavin long ago. Divorce? Maybe. If Gavin sees me living this life, with such an incompetent husband, what will he think of me? This mistaken marriage really should end. In the kitchen, Caleb turned off the faucet. He looked out at the pitch-black night, wringing the dish rag in his hands until it twisted into a tight rope. Gavin Chase, the Wall Street elite who, in the past life, scammed Serena until her family was ruined and finally pushed her off a high-rise. The culprit who caused Serena's tragic death and left Lily wandering the streets. Is he finally coming? Caleb pulled a smile uglier than crying at his reflection in the glass. Gavin Chase, I've already booked a bed for you in prison. The turn of fate the next day was the weekend. The rain had cleared, but the atmosphere in the Sterling house remained low pressure. Lily lay by the window, staring at the billboard on the shopping mall across the street. There was a limited edition Lego Disney Castle, priced at $5.99. For the Sterling family of the past, this was pocket change. But for the current Serena, every penny had to be calculated. As for Caleb, finding $39 in his pocket was a struggle. Mommy, I want that. Lily pointed timidly out the window. Serena was reading financial news, not even looking up. No, it's too expensive. Money is tight right now. You need to be sensible. The light in Lily's eyes went out instantly. She lowered her head, twisting her fingers. But today is my birthday. Serena froze. She had been so busy she forgot her daughter's birthday. Guilt flashed past, immediately replaced by anxiety. The news from Volta Charge hadn't come out yet. She was restless. Next time, Mommy has a meeting today. She grabbed her bag and hurried out, not even giving her daughter a hug. Caleb walked over and picked up his daughter. Lily, Daddy will take you to buy it. Daddy, do you have money? Lily touched Caleb's pocket worriedly. Daddy has magic. I took Lily to a nearby convenience store. In my memory, Today's batch of scratch-offs at this specific store in Queens held a second-tier prize winner worth $30,000. Daddy, this red one. Lily pointed at the colorful card. Yes, Lily has the best luck. You scratch it. Lily carefully scratched off the coating with coin. Yay. Daddy. 3 matching symbols. Did we win? The clerk leaned over to look, his eyes nearly popping out. Holy SHD. Second prize. 30 grand. Buddy, your luck is insane. Lily jumped up and down, hugging my neck and kissing me. Daddy really is Superman. We could buy the castle. We cashed the check at the lottery office. I looked at my daughter's excited little face, but my mind was calculating. I couldn't take this $30,000 home, or Joan would confiscate it. I had to deposit it into the education fund I'd secretly set up for Lily. As for the Lego, I'd buy an exact replica with my stash of private money. However, when we returned home carrying the Lego set, Serena had returned early, and her face was ashen. The TV was broadcasting breaking news. Breaking. Volta charge suspected of major financial fraud. Actual controller missing. Multiple investment firms facing massive losses. Serena had lost. For $1 billion, gone like smoke. She was on the verge of a breakdown when she saw me and Lily walking in happily, especially seeing the lottery redemption receipt Lily was waving. Where did you go? Serena's voice was cold as ice. Mommy, look, Daddy took me to scratch a ticket. We won lots of money. Lily ran over like she was offering a treasure. Serena snatched the paper, didn't even look at it, and tore it to shreds. Wah! Lily was scared into crying. Serena, what are you doing? I rushed over to shield my daughter. What am I doing? Serena threw the confetti in my face, her eyes bloodshot. Caleb, you think you're smart? Taking a 5-year-old gambling? Buying lottery tickets? Do you think this house isn't messy enough? Do you want to teach our daughter to be an opportunistic loser like you? That wasn't gambling. That was luck. And we won. Shut up. Luck? You want to live on luck your whole life? Do you know how much I lost today? I'm out there fighting for my life, and you're dragging me down from behind. Serena screamed hysterically. Throw that trash toy away. You are forbidden from taking Lily to those smoky places ever again. That is a birthday gift for my daughter. The Sterling family doesn't want gifts bought with dirty money. Joan rushed out too, pointing at my nose. Caleb, go to the study and kneel. No dinner tonight. If you dare get up, we're going to the courthouse tomorrow for a divorce. I looked at my daughter twitching with sobs in my arms, then at the arrogant wife acting like a madwoman. I wanted to tell her the lottery ticket was real. I wanted to tell her I warned her about Volta charge. I wanted to tell her I had already shorted Volta charge and now had $200 million lying in my secret account. But I said nothing, because in their eyes, everything I said was a lie. Fine, I'll kneel. I walked into the study, my knees hitting the heating grate I knew was their heart. The door slammed shut. In the darkness, I pulled out my phone, looked at the long string of numbers in my account, my eyes gradually turning cold. Serena, since you mistake fish eyes for pearls and treat a true heart like garbage, I will show you what true despair looks like. The hypocritical feast a week later at the Cloudtop Hotel, the most luxurious venue in New York. The Sterling family booked the entire banquet hall, not only to cover up the scandal of the failed investment, but to welcome a VIP. Gavin Chase was back. His banner read, Wall Street Returning Elite, and NASDAQ bell ringer. Serena wore the latest season's haute couture evening gown, deep V, open back, breathtakingly beautiful. She stood at the door, her eyes searching the crowd, nervous as a teenage girl in love. And Caleb, wearing an old suit that looked decent only if you didn't look closely, stood in the corner. His role was staff, mainly responsible for guarding the gifts. A stretch Lincoln pulled up. Gavin Chase stepped out. He had meticulously styled hair, gold-rimmed glasses, and every movement screamed elite. Serena. He walked over, opening his arms. Serena's eyes reddened, but she suppressed the urge to hug him, only shaking his hand gently. Gavin, welcome home. You've suffered these past years. Gavin looked at her affectionately. Then his gaze moved over her shoulder, landing on Caleb in the corner, his mouth curving into a mocking smile. This must be Brother Caleb? Hearing about you pales in comparison to seeing you. Caleb stepped forward, expressionless. Here, a gift for you. Gavin took out an exquisite box, opened it to reveal a Patek Philippe. I heard Brother Caleb has been unemployed. This watch isn't expensive, just a few $100,000, but wearing it to interviews might help you hold a room. Envious gasps rang out around them. Caleb knew at a glance. It was a super fake. The sound of the movement was off, and the dial color had a slight deviation. This was Gavin's method, packaging himself with counterfeits to cheat trust. No need. I don't need to check the time, Caleb said plainly. Because my time isn't worth money. Caleb, how can you talk like that? Mother-in-law Joan ran over, snatching the watch. If Gavin gives it to you, take it. No manners at all. By the way, we prepared a gift too. To relieve the awkwardness, Serena signaled Caleb to bring the item up. Caleb held up an unassuming clay pot. Inside was an orchid with only a few leaves. Dead silence filled the room, followed by suppressed snickers. What is this? Weeds dug up from the roadside. Is the Sterling family broke? Giving this kind of thing to Mr. Chase. Gavin laughed too, his eyes full of contempt. Brother Caleb is really unconventional. This grass is quite green. Nice symbolism. Caleb looked at the orchid. It was a mutated lotus crown orchid. Its market price wasn't obvious now, but at the International Orchid Show next month, a similar specimen would auction for $2.5 million. More importantly, its extract was a core component for a future anti-cancer drug. This is a lotus crown, Caleb said calmly. Enough. Serena felt utterly humiliated. Caleb, put it down. Stop embarrassing us. Go buy a decent fruit basket and send it to Gavin's hotel later. Gavin waved his hand, laughing magnanimously. It's fine, it's the thought that counts. By the way, Serena, I just got back, and I'm still hiring a driver. I heard Brother Caleb is a good driver. Since we're all family, why not let him drive for me for a few days? We can catch up. It was a deeply insulting proposal, asking the current husband to be the chauffeur for the ex-boyfriend. Caleb looked at Serena. He thought she would refuse. Serena hesitated, looking at Gavin's sincere face, then thinking of Sterling Capital's precarious situation, knowing she needed Gavin's connections to turn things around. She avoided Caleb's gaze and nodded. Since Gavin asked, Caleb, you'll work hard for a few days. Drive him around. Caleb's heart went completely cold, like a red-hot iron thrown into an ice cellar. Hiss, the last bit of heat was gone. Okay, I heard myself say, as long as Ms. Sterling's happy, I have no problem. The truth revealed, I am Caleb Vance. For the next 3 days, I became Gavin Chase's personal driver. I watched him make calls in the back seat, mouthing off about billion-dollar projects. I watched him put his hand on Serena's shoulder, whispering ambiguous sweet nothings. I watched Serena laugh like a blooming flower in front of him, showing a gentleness I had never seen at home. I was like an invisible man, until the roadshow for the Meta X Metaverse Land project. This was Gavin's first big move after returning. In his PowerPoint, he depicted a grand virtual world, claiming an investment of $10,000 today would be a $1 million return in the future. The conference room was filled with New York's wealthy elite. Serena was there. She was the lead investor. We used blockchain technology to build a decentralized dreamland. Gavin was passionate on stage. I stood in the corner pouring water, looking at that flashy PowerPoint, and I couldn't help it. I chuckled softly. The sound wasn't loud, but in the quiet conference room, it was piercing. Does Assistant Vance have a brilliant opinion? Gavin stopped, looking at me with a faint smile. All eyes focused on me. Since I was called out, I didn't bother pretending anymore. Mr. Chase, if it's decentralized, why do all the server node IPs point to a shell company in the Cayman Islands? I put down the picture and pointed at the architecture diagram on the screen. Also, your so-called NFT ownership verification uses a variant of the ERC 721 protocol, but if I'm not mistaken, there's a backdoor in this contract. The administrator can freeze and transfer all assets at any time. In other words, this isn't decentralization. This is Gavin Chase's personal dictatorship. Gavin's face changed instantly. He didn't expect a useless live-in husband to understand smart contracts. But he reacted quickly, immediately putting on an insulted expression. Caleb, I don't blame you for not understanding tech, but you cannot slander my team. This is the most advanced DAO governance model. How could someone like you, who only knows how to buy groceries, understand the greatness of the metaverse? Serena. Gavin turned to Serena, looking heartbroken. This is the trustworthy family you spoke of? Tearing down my stage on this occasion. Does he want to ruin Sterling Capital's future? Serena's face flushed red. She didn't understand ERC protocols at all. She only knew Caleb was acting crazy again, jealous of Gavin's talent. Security. Serena slammed the table and stood up. 2 burly security guards rushed in. Get him out of here. Serena pointed at me, her eyes full of disappointment. Caleb, you disappoint me too much. Even admitting your incompetence would be better than this malicious slander. Get out. I was grabbed by the arms left and right. As I passed Gavin, he lowered his voice, speaking so only I could hear. So what if you understand? She believes me, not you. Idiot. I was thrown out of the building. Sitting on the steps, I lit a cigarette. Good. Very good. Gavin Chase, since you want to play, I'll play the high-stakes game with you. The plot exposed conspiracies often ferment in the dead of night. Gavin Chase was panicking recently. He had lost a massive amount shorting Bitcoin overseas and had to fill the hole before collecting money from the Metaverse project, or the underground loan sharks would kill him. He set his sights on the Sterling Capital account. As the current chief strategic advisor, he had permission to view the account, but no operation rights. Operation required Serena's iris scan and Caleb's fingerprint. Yes, Old Man Sterling had left a safeguard to prevent Serena from being scanned. He set up a special account that required authorization from both spouses to move the $10 million reserve fund. Serena always felt this was a hassle, so she integrated Caleb's fingerprint permission into a portable USB security key, usually tossing it around the house. That stormy night, Caleb slept deeply. Gavin had bribed Joan. "Mom, I just want to help Serena do a hedge operation, make some quick money, and give that loser a surprise." Gavin smiled harmlessly. Joan didn't understand finance. She only knew Gavin was the god of wealth. Take it. That loser's fingerprint is finally good for something." So, without Caleb knowing, Gavin used the USB key, combined with the authorization cheated from Serena's trust, to log into the account. But he didn't hedge. He transferred all $10 million out to fill his own hole. Then he backhanded a highly leveraged short position on Sterling stock and intentionally blew up the account. All operation record IPs were spoofed to Caleb's phone MAC address. Early the next morning, Caleb hadn't even woken up when he was jolted awake by a glass of ice water splashed on him. Serena stood by the bed, holding a stack of printed transaction records, radiating murderous intent. "Caleb, I thought you were just incompetent. I didn't think you wanted to drive the Sterling family to death." Papers flew through the air, smashing hard into Caleb's face. Caleb wiped the water from his face and picked up a sheet. It showed that at 3 a.m. last night, due to misoperation, the Sterling reserve account was wiped out, and due to illegal shorting, they owed the brokerage a huge sum. "Operator, Caleb Vance." "I didn't do this." Caleb was instantly awake, his eyes sharp as he looked at Gavin and Joan standing at the door looking shocked. "Still dare to argue?" Joan rushed up and kicked him. "Who else has that USB key but you? I think you're jealous of Gavin and wanted to steal the money and run." "Serena, call the police." Gavin sighed, adjusting his glasses. "Although he is your husband, this is $10 million. This is a financial crime." Serena looked at Caleb, the light in her eyes completely extinguished. That was the sound of the last bit of marital affection snapping. "Caleb, what do you have to say?" She gritted her teeth, every word squeezed out. Caleb looked at her, looking at this woman he had loved for 2 lifetimes, protected for 2 lifetimes. At this moment, he suddenly didn't want to explain. What use was explaining? She was blind and deaf too. "If I said this was Gavin framing me, would you believe it?" Caleb asked calmly. Serena sneered. "Gavin is worth billions. Would he covet this little money? Or frame a driver like you?" "Caleb, your lies are truly clumsy." Caleb nodded. He slowly stood up, even straightening his soaked pajama collar. "Fine, since you all decided it was me, then let's count this $10 million as a loan to me." His gaze swept over everyone present, finally landing on Gavin, the corner of his mouth hooking into a cruel arc. "But this debt, I will make you beg me to pay it back 100, 1,000 times over." The last dignity, the air pressure in the Sterling living room was suffocating. I stood before the coffee table, facing the forged transaction records and a freshly printed divorce agreement. Joan sat in the main spot on the sofa, legs crossed, peeling an orange, looking at me like cattle waiting to be slaughtered. Gavin sat next to her, wearing a hypocritical face that said, "I'm helpless too, but business is business." Serena stood by the window, her back to me. "Sign it." Joan threw the orange peel into the trash can. It was the first time she looked me in the eye tonight. "Sign the IOU for $10 million, admit you embezzled public funds, and leave with nothing. For the sake of your marriage, Serena won't send you to jail." I looked at that back. "Serena, is that what you think too?" Serena turned slowly. Her eyes were red, obviously from crying, but now they held only resolve and ice. "Caleb, the evidence is solid. Only your fingerprint can unlock that key. For the past year, I've carried all the household expenses. I didn't mind that you were poor, but you shouldn't have touched that life-saving money, and certainly not to gamble on high-leverage shorts. Do you know that was Sterling Capital's last liquidity? If I said Gavin stole my fingerprint while I was sleeping?" "Enough." Serena rushed over, raising her hand for a slap. Smack. The slap was heavy. Her nails were long, inlaid with Swarovski crystals, a manicure done specifically to welcome Gavin. The sharp gems cut across my cheek, a line of blood instantly surfacing, warm liquid dripping down my chin onto the floor. The hall fell dead silent. Serena looked at her blood-stained fingers, seemingly frightened. Her body trembled slightly, but soon she bit her lip, forcing her heart to harden. At a time like this, you still slander Gavin? He just got back. He doesn't even know where the key is kept. Serena pointed at the door, her voice shrill and breaking. Caleb, it's one thing to be incompetent, but why are you morally corrupt? I must have been blind to tolerate you for 3 years. 3 years. I raised my hand, touching the blood on my face. Did it hurt? No. Instead, there was an unprecedented clarity. In my past life, I cared too much about her feelings, yielding again and again, trying to explain, only to watch her be eaten alive by Gavin and jump from a building. In that instant, the Serena wearing a white dress smiling at me on the college campus shattered completely. Since you mistake fish eyes for pearls, since you refuse to wake up, then I will shatter your pride and crush your dignity. Only when you have nothing will you see who is human and who is a ghost. Good. I smiled. That smile made Serena feel an inexplicable panic. She subconsciously took a half step back. The break, I walked to the coffee table and picked up the pen. Caleb, sign the IOU too. Joan urged from the side. 10 million, not a penny less. If you can't pay it back, sell a kidney. Gavin interjected falsely. Auntie, forget it. Brother Caleb has no ability to repay. This money, I'll cover it for Serena, as long as he agrees to the divorce. How can we do that? Gavin, your money doesn't grow on trees. I didn't even look at the IOU. I picked up the divorce agreement directly. The pen tip scratched across the paper. Caleb Vance. 2 words, written with power, piercing the back of the page. After signing, I picked up the $10 million IOU and, right in front of them, tore it in half. What are you doing? Joan screamed. This 10 million. I threw the confetti into the air like a white funeral. Consider it the tuition fee for Serena's blindness. What Gavin swallowed, I will make him spit out 100-fold. As for the Sterling family, I looked around the place I had lived for 3 years. Every blade of grass, even that broom, held my body warmth. From now on, we owe each other nothing. I turned and walked toward the entryway. Hanging there was my only jacket, a windbreaker bought from street stall, washed until faded. Wait, Serena suddenly called out to me. She looked at the blood on my face, a wave of inexplicable panic rising in her heart, as if something extremely important was slipping away. She pulled a bank card for her purse and threw it on the floor. There's $5,000 on this. Go rent a room. Don't let people say the Sterling family was ruthless and let you starve on the street. I looked down at the card, then at Gavin standing behind her, triumphant. I stepped right over the card. Keep it to buy yourself regret medicine. Farewell in the rain outside. The storm was pouring. Just as I pushed the door open, a small figure suddenly rushed down the stairs, not even wearing shoes. Daddy, Daddy, don't go. It was Lily. She had clearly heard the commotion, crying her heart out, hugging my thigh tightly, hanging on me like a koala. Lily. I crouched down, my heart twisting in pain. This was my only weakness in this world. Boo-hoo. Is it because Lily wasn't good? Lily doesn't want a Lego anymore. Lily won't eat meat anymore. Daddy, don't go. Her tears mixed with snot rubbed onto my pants. Lily, be good. My hands were shaking as I wiped the tears from her face. Daddy is going to fight monsters. When I win, I'll come back to pick you up and build you the biggest castle in the world. I don't want a castle. I want Daddy. Let go, you brat. Joan chased out, grabbing Lily by the back of her collar and roughly dragging her back. What's the point of crying over a loser? From now on, Uncle Gavin is your daddy. No, he's a bad man. He looks like a rat. Lily struggled desperately, biting Joan's arm. Ouch, you ungrateful little wretch. Joan yelped in pain and slapped the child on the back. My eyes instantly turned as fierce as a beast, and I slammed a step forward. Joan Sterling dared to touch her again. In that moment, the murderous aura erupting from me froze Joan in place. Her raised hand dared not fall. Gavin quickly took Lily over, smiling at me. Rest assured, Brother Caleb, I will take good care of Lily. I gave Gavin a deep look. Gavin Chase, pray. Pray your life is tough enough. I turned and charged into the rain curtain. Behind me came Lily's desperate cries, the sound of my heart tearing apart. The rain was cold, washing away the blood on my face. I touched the only ID card left in my pocket and the bank card with the $30,000 lottery winnings. It was Lily's education fund. I hadn't touched it, but I memorized the card number and could use it as collateral. I didn't look back, because I knew, the day I returned, the entire city of New York would tremble beneath my feet.